Hello everyone, and welcome to a slightly different episode from normal, where as you can see I am looking a little bit different, because today you join me not in my back garden, but instead in the virtual back garden of Minecraft. And if you're not aware, Minecraft is a very famous computer game that's been around for a long time, and today's video is going to be all about that computer game from the perspective of an old person like me. So if you're wanting to know how to play this game and you really don't know where to start, and you find that all the videos from young people are quite complicated and difficult to understand, then hopefully you'll find this video useful. If you are a young person wondering how to play Minecraft, you are probably going to find the pace of this video is a little bit slow for you, but who knows, you might find it useful. I'm in my 50s now, and I've been playing this since my kids were very young, and I figured there's probably a lot of new parents out there who are getting drawn into the world of Minecraft and really don't know where to start. And this is firmly who this video is aimed at. So I'm going to explain all of the basics to get you going so that you can survive your first night on Minecraft without getting too stressed, and eventually, given time, you'll be able to build structures like this. And it is an immensely addictive game from that perspective. If you are of the creative mindset and you like building things in the virtual world, and you like resource gathering games where you have to kind of find your own stuff to build things and work out ways of getting food and all that sort of thing, you will find Minecraft an immensely addictive and fun game. Now, we're going to take this from the absolute beginning. So let's just go back to the main menu for a start. So first of all, I'm going to kind of bypass the Minecraft launcher for now, because I'm just going to be showing you Minecraft Java Edition. If you're playing on consoles and things like that, it'll probably be Bedrock Edition that you're playing. It's very slightly different. Most of the main gameplay is more or less the same, but I'm going to assume you're playing on a computer, so like a PC or a Mac or whatever, and I'm going to assume that you're playing Java Edition. So from the Minecraft launcher, I'm basically checking that I've got Java Edition selected on the left, that I'm on the latest version, and then I just click play. And it takes a little while for things to load up, but eventually you should be on a menu screen that looks a little bit like this. We'll talk about multiplayer playing later down the line, because that's where the game really comes into its own. It's really amazing once you can start doing like collaborative builds or just all share one big world. But for the moment, just to get you up and running, we're just going to do single player. And the world that you just saw me on was this world here. But to show you what things would be like all the way from square one, we're going to create a new world. So I'm just going to click create world there, and it'll ask you for a name of the world. So I'm going to call this Andy's New World, and we're going to be playing in survival mode, and we're going to be playing in normal difficulty for now, and you should be fine with that if you follow a few tips that I'm going to give you in this video. If things get a little bit too scary or a little bit too difficult, you can change that to easy mode, or even go into creative mode. Creative mode, to me, it's good if you just want to build things, but I think part of the fun of the game is finding your own resources and not having infinite amounts of everything. And hardcore world, by the way, basically means that you only get one life, and if you die, that is the end of the game. So we're not going to do that. We're just going to do normal survival mode. And another thing we're showing you in here is if we click the world tab at the top here, you can put in a seed for the world here. And you don't need to. By default, it'll come up with a random seed. But if you ever want to recreate the same world again from scratch, in other words, the way the world was when you first joined it, not including anything that you've built on the world, but if you put a seed number in there, so for example, if I put 123 as a seed, and I create that world, then if I ever create another world with 123, the world will look more or less exactly the same. As I say, minus anything that I've built in that world. Anyway, other than that, there's nothing else you really need to know about here at the moment, so I'm just going to click Create New World. And here we are in our brand new Minecraft world. As you can see, we're in the middle of a kind of forest thing, and we appear to be perched on top of a tree. And by the way, the seed thing that I was talking about before, if you just press the slash key on your keyboard and just type seed and press enter, it'll tell you the seed of the world that you're in. If you then press T on the keyboard and click on that number, it'll copy that number at the clipboard. You can copy that into a notepad or something like that, and then if you ever want to recreate this world again from scratch, then you just copy that number in as the seed of the world, and it'll look exactly like this. But anyway, don't worry about that too much. It's getting a little bit advanced, but it's just to kind of explain the whole world seeding thing, because effectively there's an infinite number of worlds that you could have on this, and every one of them would look different. And as such, this is actually, I mean, it's not a bad starting world, but I preferred the world that I was on before, so I'm going to go back to that one. So I'm just going to do escape, save and quit, back to single player, and I'm just going to go into this new world that I had. So first of all, your main key controls are W to walk forwards, S to walk backwards, A to step to the left, and D to step to the right. And if you just kind of get used to those keys, it's kind of a natural way that you end up with your hand on the keyboard. You'll see that walking around is relatively straightforward. In addition to that, you use your mouse to kind of look around, and you will move in whatever direction you're looking in. So you don't need to use your left and right buttons on the keyboard. Most of the time you're just going to be using your walk forwards button, and then you just use your mouse to kind of look left and right, and you'll go in whatever direction. Another quite important key to know is that, for example, I've got to this block here and I can't move, is the jump key. And the jump key is your space bar by default. So if you just move forwards, so hold your finger on the forwards button, press space, you will jump up onto that item. And if you just press space on its own, you will see you will jump up and down. If I quickly put myself into third person kind of view, you will see there's me jumping up and down. If I walk backwards a little bit and then walk forwards, you can see me kind of jumping. Another quite important key you're going to need to know is how to run, because later on in the game you are going to start to get attacked by nasty things and you will need to run. And to do that, you double tap the walk forwards button. So if I'm just walking forwards normally, I'm like that. If I double press it, now I'm running forwards. Now the only thing to bear in mind when you're running is that it uses extra energy. So that neatly leads me on to talking about the kind of hotbar at the bottom of the screen. On the left hand side you've got your health, and on the right hand side you've got your hunger. And if your hunger goes down too far, then your health will start to drop and you'll start to die. If all of those little hearts go all the way down to 0, you will die completely. And when you die, you drop everything you were holding on the ground, and then you can just restart the game and go to wherever you died and pick all your stuff up. Now that gets a little bit more complicated, so it's not as simple as just starting in the same place. We'll come back to that. But for now, just keep an eye on the health and hunger bar at the bottom. You want to make sure your hunger is always topped up by eating some food. And a good way to eat food is to kill some animals, or you can also eat various other things in the game that I'm sure we'll get to later on. But before we do any of that, we need to make some tools. The whole idea of Minecraft is that you mine things and you craft things. So the first thing that we're going to do is get a bit of wood so that we can craft the most important thing in the game, and that is a crafting table. Now, in order to do that, I need to explain what the various buttons on the mouse do. So your left hand button is used to break blocks. So if I kind of hover over the bottom of that tree and just hold the left button down, you will see we will break that block. Don't worry, the tree won't fall down. And then we'll break another block, again holding down the left button on the mouse. And by the way, when you are trying to break blocks or jump on blocks or place blocks or anything like that, can you see you've got that kind of little black square on whatever you're looking at? So for example here you can see there's a kind of little black square around that block. That means that's the block that you're going to be doing something to. Equally, if I kind of look over here, you can see I'm looking at various different blocks that have a black kind of square around it. So that means, for example, if I hold down my left mouse button while that block is highlighted, that's the block I'm going to be hitting. So I've now broken that block of dirt. And whenever you do break a block, whether it's a piece of wood or a piece of dirt or any of the other thousands of types of blocks in this game, the block will drop on the ground, and when you go over to that block, you will automatically pick it up. So for example, if I break that, can you see how the block is like floating around there? If I just walk over to it, I have now picked that block up. Now, another thing, while I'm showing you what's going on here, and I'm getting pushed around by a pig, there's another important thing to keep an eye on, and that is the level of the sun in the sky. Because once that sun gets down below horizon level, it's going to be classed as night time, and the monsters are going to start coming out. And at this stage in the game, where I have no tools and no shelter and no way of sleeping, that's pretty bad news. So for the minute, while I'm showing you how to play this game, I'm going to cheat and just change it to daytime again. Right, there we go. I've gone back in time a little bit so that it's not nighttime anymore. But yeah, keep an eye on the sun's position in the sky. It rises on the east and it will set all the way over that side on the west. So anyway, where was it? Let's get a couple of bits of wood because we're going to make some basic tools just to get started. And in order to make some tools, we are going to need to use the crafting menu. So I'm just going to head down to this little clearing over here because we've got loads of animals and things. And by the way, if you start on a world that has like no animals, or like you're in the middle of a desert or something awkward like that, you may want to consider just starting again with another random seed. This is quite a nice starting point because we've got loads of like animals around and it's quite open. Anyway, what we're going to do to get into the crafting menu, I'm going to press E on the keyboard, and the first thing we're going to do here is get these logs and turn them into some planks. So all I'm going to do is click on the logs, drop them into the top corner of the crafting table there, and just take those planks out. If I do that a couple of times, you'll see we can get like a few bunches of planks. There's shortcuts for doing that, by the way, but we're not going to bother with that at the minute. And then all we're going to do, I'm going to click this little book and it tells you all the crafting recipes, but you don't have to use that. For example, I'm going to make a crafting table, and I know in order to do that, all I need to do is put 4 blocks in there like that, and that makes a crafting table. But if you don't want to do that, what you can do, if I just press escape and come out of that and then press E to go back into the crafting menu, if I press a little book, and then I can go up here, and everything that doesn't have a red border around it is stuff that you can craft. And if you want, you can filter that by pressing this little button here. So for example, that only shows what you can currently craft with the things that you've got. But if you click that so that it's got the red X, it'll show how to craft everything that you currently know about, including things that you can't craft yet. So for example, you can't make any more acacia planks because you don't have any more acacia logs, and you need the logs to make the planks. Anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to make a crafting table. So all I'm going to do is click on that. That ends up at the top there, and then all I'm going to do is drag that down from there and into my hotbar at the bottom. Basically, everything that's in the bottom row here is everything that's at the bottom of the screen in your hotbar, and then everything else above that is what's currently in your inventory. So if I move that here, for example, or I move the crafting table up there, it's still in my inventory, but it's not in the hotbar anymore. So you can't actually use that item until it's in your hotbar. So if you're ever wondering, you know, have you picked something up, where is it? Press E and just make sure that the thing that you want to use is in your hotbar. So I'm just going to click on those, drag them into this bottom section here, and then you can use the things that are in your hotbar. And the thing that I want to use is the crafting table. So how do you get to that? Well, you just use the scroll wheel on your mouse to move through all the different positions on your hotbar, or you can use the number keys on your keyboard. So if I want to go to position 2, I press number 2 on the keyboard. Likewise, if I press number 1, I'm now using the acacia planks. But the thing I want to use is the crafting table. I generally always use the scroll wheel on the mouse. So I'm going to scroll onto that, and then to place that item down somewhere, again, looking at where that little black box is on the ground, I'm going to use the right mouse button. So there we go. I've placed the crafting table down. And now I want to use the crafting table, and in order to use something, well, you just need to be kind of looking at it. And while I'm looking at that item, I'm just going to right click on it, and that brings up the the crafting interface for the crafting table. So this gives you a lot of extra things that you can do that you can't do if you just press the E button on your keyboard. You see, you don't have like a big crafting box there, but if I right click on the crafting table, there's all sorts of extra things that we can make. And the first thing that I'm going to make is an axe. In order to make an axe, I'm going to need sticks. So just to prove that point, I'm just going to do AX and search for it. You see, axe isn't even coming up at the moment. So I'm going to make some sticks. So let's just click on the sticks. 4 sticks will do for now. We'll bring them down there. And now it's given us the option to make all these other things. So I'm going to make an axe. And I'm going to make a sword, a wooden sword. And apologies to anyone who thinks this is going to get a bit brutal, but we need to kill a few animals, I'm afraid, because we need food and we need to make a bed so that we can survive the night. So, yeah, sorry sheep, you're going to have to go. And as you can see from killing that, I've automatically picked up some raw mutton and some wool, and we need some more white wool. Let's head up here, just get rid of him. Sorry sheep, we need your wool. I need one more white sheep from somewhere. Come on, is there another one somewhere? I'm not seeing any white sheep around at the minute. Okay, fine. For now, we will get some meat from the pigs as well, because we're going to need all of that. Sorry pig. I could really do with one more white sheep, because the thing that we want to make is a bed. Let's just look at the crafting table. You can see a white bed there needs 3 bits of white wool and 3 planks. And we've got the planks, but we don't have the wool. And the wool has to be a matching colour, unless you dye the wool, which is a possibility, actually. If we can find a white flower from somewhere, we could make some white dye. I'll tell you what, let's dye it all red. We'll make a red bed. I think this will work. 1, 2, 3... red flowers. This is a bit of a convoluted way of making a bed, by the way, but it's the only way we're going to be able to do it at the moment. So I'm going to go down to the crafting table. Normally you would just kill 3 white sheep, but I can't find 3 white sheep. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this poppy and I'm just going to shove it on the crafting table, and we're going to make some dye. And then we're going to get our white wool, combine it with that, and we're going to make red wool. So we can make 2 bits of red wool, and we can get our black wool, and we can make that into red wool, and now we've got enough stuff to make a red bed. So there we go. If we just right click on the item there, by the way, it'll give you all the different options of what you can potentially make. As you can see, we can't make a white bed, but we can make a red bed. So we're just going to drag that down there. So a bed is a really important thing to have in Minecraft, because you are going to need to sleep as soon as it becomes nighttime. Otherwise you're going to get attacked by the nasty hostile mobs that we're not prepared for yet. In order to sleep, we're just going to right click on the bed, and we get that advancement there, sweet dreams, and it will magically become daytime again. So, okay, we've got some food. We're not actually going to eat the food yet, because we want to cook the food. And in order to cook the food, we need to make a furnace. And in order to make a furnace, we need some stone. And in order to get the stone, we could do with a pickaxe. So, to get a pickaxe, let's see, can we get one at the minute? No, we're going to need a little bit more wood, but that's okay, because we've got an axe. So we need a few more sticks, and we need to make some more planks. We'll just get a bunch of them, and now we can make a pickaxe. You wouldn't normally have a hotbar arrangement like this. It's not very practical, but it's fine for now. So I'm just going to go on to the pickaxe option, and we need to find some stone. Now, luckily, we have got stone just here. Now, we are next to a cave. We need to be a little bit careful that there aren't any nasties, but I can't see anything. So, we should be okay. So I'm just going to mine a little bit of this, and you can see we are now in the Stone Age. We'll just pick up a few bits of stone. You want loads of stone, by the way, because it's a very useful thing to have. Of course, I can't actually get out of here. Let's just break a couple of those. Jump up. To swim, by the way, you just kind of hold down your jump button and you'll just bob through the water. Don't drown. Anyway, let's head over here and let's make a furnace. So within here we can search for furnace, F-U-R, there's a furnace there. We'll build one of those. I'm just going to put that anywhere on the hotbar at the bottom here. You can just move the food into your inventory for now. Remember, you're carrying everything. It's just the stuff that you need to use needs to be at the bottom here. So we've got the furnace. So now I'm just going to select the furnace using my mouse scroll wheel, and I'm going to place it. You can put it absolutely anywhere you want. I'm going to put it next to my crafting table here. And then finally, we also need some fuel for the furnace. And for the minute, I'm going to just use some of these logs that we've got. So I'm just going to pick those up, pop them on there, and I'm going to cook some of this meat that we've got. So we'll just leave that cooking. You can see the furnace is cooking, but ideally in a furnace it's a bit more efficient to use coal. And coal looks like, I can see some in the distance there, and I can see some iron as well. So coal has those kind of little black specks in it there. Infinitely useful. You'll need a pickaxe to mine it. And iron is over there. We're not going to go for the iron quite yet because we're going to need a stone pickaxe to get that. And we don't have one of those yet. But iron is very, very useful. So yeah, we'll come back to that. You can eat the meat raw, but it's not as efficient. It doesn't replenish your hunger as well, so you're better cooking the food first. We've got cooked mutton now. I'm just going to drag that down. We'll also cook this pork chop while we're at it. And in the meantime, you can see how my hunger bar is down one little chicken leg at the minute. I'm just going to highlight the cooked mutton, and I'm going to hold down my right mouse button, and that's me eating some food, and my hunger is now replenished. So with all of that knowledge, you know how to make a crafting table, you know how to make a furnace, you know how to get some food, you know how to cook the food, you know how to eat the food, and you know how to sleep. If you can't find a sheep to make a bed, probably the best thing you can do is to dig a hole somewhere and just hide until the morning time. But you're going to need to make sure you've got enough food to see you through the night. Providing you're not doing very much on your first night, you should survive it without any extra food. But it's a good idea. As soon as you start playing the game, try and get some food, try and get some wood, try and get some stone. And if you've got those three things, then you're going to be absolutely fine making it through the night. But if you haven't, you might struggle a little bit when the monsters come out. Let me just get the rest of the wood that makes this tree. And by the way, until you've got all the bits of the tree, it'll just keep kind of floating in midair, which is a kind of pet hate of mine. But once you've mined all of the tree, all of those leaves will gradually just kind of disappear, and a few extra things might drop out of the tree that might be useful as well. For example, you can see in our hotbar there, we've got a couple of acacia saplings. And with saplings, you can plant a new tree. So we've chopped that tree down. I can plant that sapling here, and a new tree will grow. And as you can see, I've still got another spare sapling, so we'll plant another one here. Anyway, let's head back down here. And the other thing that we really want to make as soon as possible is some torches. And in order to make torches, there's a number of different ways you can do it, but I like to do it by making some charcoal. And to make charcoal, if you go to your furnace, and if you just take some logs, and basically you're going to cook logs with logs. So I'm just going to drop some logs onto there, and that's going to cook those logs and turn them into charcoal. As you can see, we've run out of fuel now though, so what we can do, let's just make one bit, and I'll show you a little kind of thing that you can do. There, you can see we've run out of fuel, we can't make any more charcoal. So if I right click on the acacia log at the top there, it'll take exactly half of whatever's there. Whenever you right click on something in your inventory, it takes half of that thing. So for example, if I right click on the sticks, it'll take half the sticks. Obviously there's 5 sticks, so it's taking 3 of them, but you get the general idea. If I right click on the cooked mutton, it'll take 1 of them. Likewise, if I right click on that and then right click in the bottom box, it'll just drop one of those things into the bottom box. Now it's used that thing straight away. So I've right clicked again and it's dropped another log in the bottom to use as fuel. And then if I right click again, it'll drop my final one in there. So that's really handy to know. Just in terms of general kind of inventory management, it's a little bit more obvious if I pick up a few more blocks. So I'm going to build a little hole here to hide in overnight. because I think it's about time that you got to see some scary mobs and how you survive a night when the thing's trying to kill you. If you're of a nervous disposition, you may seriously want to think about sleeping instead of fighting the mobs, but we're going to be fine, I think. We'll fight a couple of them, although to be fair, a wooden sword isn't great. Let's see if we can actually make a stone sword before the night time kicks in. Let's go to the crafting table, and we do have enough stone and enough sticks that we can make a stone sword. So I'm just going to drag that down there, and with that in mind, we should be okay to fight a few things, but on the off chance that we're not, we're going to use this little hole here as a bit of a refuge. I've got my dirt here in my hotbar in my inventory. Let's make a little bit of extra space in here to hide away. Now the only trouble is it's going to be really dark in here because we haven't got any torches yet. But we should be fine. Now, in this situation, once the mobs start coming out, they're going to chase us. But don't worry, you can run faster than most mobs. So worst case scenario, you're going to run away. But they are going to follow you into this little hole. So I would suggest you practice running in and just placing a couple of blocks at the entrance, like here, so that they can't get in. So at the minute, you're pretty safe. I mean, it's dark and pretty dingy because we haven't made any torches yet, but nothing can really get you. Anyway, let's head out and fight some things. Now, the mobs won't spawn directly next to you, or at least they shouldn't. They'll always spawn a little bit of a distance away from you. You don't really need to know the dynamics of how that works at the minute, but basically, if it's nighttime, if it's dark, they will spawn somewhere near you, but not too close to you, because it would be really, really difficult if they just kind of appear like a foot away from you and you haven't got a chance to kill them. But let's head up here and see if there's any up here. There's a few over there, actually. But now that we've wandered up here, some should appear down the bottom there at some point. There's a skeleton over there. Skeletons are actually quite dangerous because they can shoot arrows at you from a distance, which makes life a little bit tricky. We've also got the infamous creeper over there. The creeper is one of the most notoriously dangerous mobs in the game because they very quietly creep up to you and then explode. I'm not going to let it do that because it will kill me because I've got no armor, so I'm just going to run away. If you run away far enough from a creeper, they will kind of lose interest. But zombies, on the other hand, I can't see any zombies anywhere. Zombies can see you from miles away and they will follow you for quite a distance before they lose interest. So there's a zombie over there. Let's just see if we can kind of lure him in. So you'll see, as we get, you see, he's seen me now and he's walking towards us. So I'm just going to check behind me that there's no mobs behind us. See, he's still following us. I don't particularly want him to actually fall in the water because he might turn into a thing called a drowned if that happens. Okay, he's still following me. That's fine. Let's head over here. Still following, and we're safe. So I'm just going to use my left mouse button with the sword selected to hit him. And we're just going to give him a few swipes with the sword. He's hit me once there, and you can see we've killed our first monster. And we've got the advancement of Monster Hunter, so that's all quite exciting. Have we picked anything up from him? Sometimes you pick up rotten flesh from a zombie. Oh, and we've got a couple of mobs here have appeared. Oh, we've got a spider. Kill him. And we've got what's known as a zombie villager. This is basically a villager that's been attacked by a zombie and it's turned into a zombie himself, and he's having a good go at attacking us there. So at the moment, we're relatively clear all the way around us. And because it's relatively clear all the way around us, I think it's a good time to sleep. Now, if there's monsters all the way around you, I'm afraid you can't sleep. It'll come up with an error saying there's too many monsters nearby or something like that. But because we're all clear and there's nothing trying to attack us at the moment, I'm just going to right-click on the bed. and we're going to fast forward through to morning time, and then you will see an interesting thing happens. Can you see that zombie over there has burst into flames? Well, that is because certain mobs just can't survive the daytime. Zombies will burst into flames and skeletons will burst into flames as well, but they can seek shelter underneath a tree. It's just if the sunlight hits them that they are going to burst into flames. Now, there's another interesting mob over there that we're going to take a look at. If he doesn't disappear, he might have disappeared already to be honest, but we'll see if we can find him before he does completely vanish, and that is the infamous Enderman. He's over there, and the key thing is with an Enderman is you never ever look into his eyes. Endermen get really angry if you look into their eyes, and they can teleport. As long as the little crosshairs in the middle of your screen don't touch his eyes, everything's going to be fine. But if you see one of them and you accidentally look at his eyes, he is going to kill you pretty quickly. Now, there is an easy way around that. Let's just eat some food first of all before we take on our first Enderman. And the easy solution to that is to hide underneath anything that's 2 blocks high, because Endermen are 3 blocks high and they can't fit underneath it. So if we just, for example, go under this tree here and then try and look at him in the eyes, he can't get to us at the minute. Let's just move that bit of grass out the road. Where's he gone? So we're going to try and lure him in, and then I'm going to run under this tree, and we're going to... There he is. Right. Come on, Enderman. I'll get my sword ready. Look at him in the eyes. Come on. We're waiting on him to... Right, he's seen me now. Now, at the point he's seen you, as long as you don't move, he'll just sit there, kind of vibrating and very angry, but he'll not attack you. He'll not attack you until you move away from looking at his eyes. Now at the minute, because we're hidden under these leaves, I don't think you can get us, but let's have a look. There he goes. Right, and we're going to attack him from there. He can't get us because we're under this 2-block pile of leaves. I'm going to give him a few swipes. Where's he gone? He's gone around the other side. Oh, he's hiding away somewhere. There he is. And as I say, they do teleport, which is a little bit of a pain sometimes. Come on. He must be nearly dead. There we go. And he's dropped an ender pearl. An ender pearl is a very useful thing that we're going to use later on in the game. At the moment, we've picked it up. It is in our inventory, but we have no need to use it quite yet. But yeah, ender pearls are very useful. Anyway, let's head back down here to our bed and crafting table and furnace, and we should find that our charcoal has cooked. So I'm going to right click on that, get our charcoal out, and we're going to right click on the crafting table, and we're going to make some torches. To make torches we need sticks and charcoal. So we're going to search for torch. And for some reason it's not coming up. Okay, we're going to do it the manual method then. I'm just going to get a stick and charcoal and shove it in the middle there, and then we can make it. Sometimes until you've made certain advancements in the game, it doesn't update the crafting recipe, so you need to know what the recipe is. See, for example, now if I go onto the crafting table and search for torch, you see it's there now and it tells us how to make it. But yeah, it's useful to know the manual way of making things just in case that happens. Anyway, what we're going to do, let's head over to our little cave over there, and to be honest, I think we should set that up as a little house so that we're out of all of the kind of dangers of being outside. So let's get our let's use an let's get the wood out of there, and we'll break our furnace, pick that up. We'll get an axe to break our crafting table, and let's head into this little cave house that we're building. So I'm going to use up what's left of my wooden pickaxe here, but in all honesty I want rid of that because we're going to make a stone pickaxe anyway. As I say, when you're first starting off the game, get as much stone as you can, much wood as you can, and try and get some wool to make a bed. Right, that's broken, that's fine. So let's pop our bed down like in the corner here, and let's pop our crafting table next to it, And let's put our furnace next to that. And the first thing I'm going to make here, we need some more planks. So I'm just going to pop that up there, get some planks. And I could do with a stone pickaxe. We need more sticks. To make sticks, by the way, the manual method, you just drag a couple of blocks down. If you're ever wanting to kind of move stuff around on here, if you just left click and drag, you can drag it into a shape. That's kind of the fast way of doing things. At the minute, I just need a couple of sticks, and then we can make a stone pickaxe like that. Another advancement made, getting an upgrade. Let's just get our stone pickaxe, and we can mine out the last couple of bits of stone from here. As you advance through the different tools, they all get like better and better and faster to use. Let's make a little bit more room in here because we're going to need it. And then we're going to get our torches, and we're just going to right click on the wall in here just to put a couple of torches down. And I'm also going to pop a couple of torches outside just to make it obvious where the entrance to our little house is. So there we go. We don't have a door. We could actually make a door. Let's go and get a bit more wood. The trees we planted haven't grown yet, but there's a tree here that we can chop down. You can chop through the leaves just to make sure you can get to the actual trunk of the tree. Should keep us going there. You can see the sun's just starting to go down, but we should be fine at the moment. We'll get a bit more wood. Sometimes if you can get on top of a tree like this, it's easier to kind of dig down, but there is a general rule in Minecraft of never dig straight down, because there's all sorts of caves and things that you could end up getting trapped inside, or you could fall to your death. So yeah, generally speaking, don't dig straight down, but when you're on a tree like that, it's relatively safe. Anyway, where's our little base? Around the corner here. We're going to make a door for our base. And then I think that'll wrap it up for this episode. So all I'm going to do, I'm going to take half of these logs here. So I'm going to right click on it, and I'm just going to drop it on there to make a whole bunch of planks. Now, normally, you see these are coming out in bunches of 4. If you hold down shift while you take it, it'll take all of them in one go. So we've got all of our planks, and now we should be able to make a door. Look at this. Again, if you right click on it, it'll tell you what you can make. So for example, we can't make an acacia door, but we can make an oak door. So I'm going to bring that down. And by the way, a handy thing to know, we've got an old wooden sword here that is next to useless now. You can use that as fuel. So we can put that into the furnace and use that as fuel if we need to cook any meat. And we can take our door, and we can just shove it, let's see, we want to make sure that it's actually covering the entrance, so we'll put it kind of there, like that. And then to open and close the door, you just right click on it. Simple as that. And then you should be relatively safe overnight. Sometimes, I think it depends on the difficulty level that you're playing on, zombies can break down wooden doors. Later on in the game you can make like iron doors and all sorts of other things. But just something to bear in mind. But I think on normal difficulty, you should be pretty safe with a wooden door. But just bear in mind, if you're playing on hard difficulty, zombies can probably break that down. Now that we're in a relatively safe place, if you've got any jobs that you want to get on with without being attacked by monsters, now is a good time to do it. So for example, we could spend a bit of time like mining this out and getting a little bit more stone. Or we could even create a bit of a staircase downwards and start mining into the deeper parts of the world where you can get more exotic materials and all sorts of things that are going to be useful for building with later on in the game. But for the minute, there's only one other thing I want to show you, and over time you'll see our inventory is starting to get quite full, all the things that we're carrying. So it is very handy to make a chest. So we're just going to search for chest. And I would generally advise, if you've got enough wood, always make 2 of them, because then you can make a double chest. So you can see we've picked up 2 chests there. If I just pop one chest on the ground, you see that's a single chest. I pop another one, so we've got 2 single chests. But if I break that and put it next to the other chest, we end up with a double chest, and that can hold double the amount of stuff. So this is really handy for just dropping things off that maybe you don't want to lose if you die, or if you've collected some precious materials and you're not sure what to do with them yet. Just drop them off in your chest. Over time you'll find you'll build up like way more food than you need at any one time, and obviously if you end up dying, everything that you were holding at the time is going to end up left on the ground wherever you died. But if you've left it in a chest, you can always go back to that chest and get your stuff. Which probably only leaves me to tell you about one other thing that is worth knowing all the way from the earliest stages of playing the game. And I wish more people would make use of this from the early stages, because it will make your life so much easier. And that is the use of coordinates. If you press the F3 key on your keyboard, you will see you get all this information on the screen, and most of it just looks like gobbledygook. But the important stuff that we want to look at is the XYZ coordinates that you're at. Now, underneath where it says XYZ, you've got a slightly simpler view of things, and that is your block number. And that is basically your XYZ coordinates without all the decimal numbers. And you can kind of ignore the middle number. The middle number is your height. But the important ones are the X and Z coordinates, because knowing your X and Z coordinates allows you to find your way back to anywhere in the world if you get lost. So for example, I'm at 394405 at the minute. As I say, ignore the middle number. So if I get totally lost in this world, I can always go back to that number of 394405. So if I go to sleep and then head on outside, and by the way, if you die, you will end up at the last place that you slept at, providing there's a bed still there. If you destroy the bed, you will end up back at the world spawn point, wherever you originally spawned into the world. But anyway, imagine we've had a little bit of a wander around. There's another Enderman on top of a tree over there. We need to be a little bit careful. And by the way, we've got a creeper and a spider over there. Should we try and take the creeper on? The spider won't attack us because it's daytime unless you attack it. Now, a creeper, by the way, hit it and run backwards. Hit it and run backwards. Hit it and run backwards. You'll have to do that a few times when you've got a rubbish weapon. If you don't do that, it will explode and it will almost certainly kill you. Anyway, let's just run over here a bit. Okay, so imagine we've been away on a bit of a resource gathering mission, and it's now a case of, oh, where am I? What direction do I need to go in? I'm completely lost. Well, if we just hit F3 on the keyboard, you can see we're currently at 261503, and what was it? It was 394 we wanted, 394405 or something like that. So let's see, what direction do we need to go in? We need to go kind of that way. And you can see, because I'm running at the minute, I'm using up quite a lot of hunger. It's fine, but you can see we're going all the way down here. 394, and then we need to go this way. Open the door. We're back to 394405. Make use of coordinates from the earliest start of using the game. Check your coordinates, write them down somewhere. If you find something interesting that you want to go back to, write down the coordinates of it. You can also screenshot your coordinates by pressing the F2 key. But if you don't know where to find your screenshots, then that's kind of useless. I'm not going to show you that in this video because this video is already quite long. But yeah, make use of coordinates because it's very easy to get lost in the world of Minecraft. The world is effectively more or less infinitely big, or certainly for all intents and purposes infinitely big, so it's very easy to get lost. But if you remember where you were using your coordinates, you'll be able to get back to your little base that you've built and back to safety. By the way, if all of the shortcut keys that I'm talking about are a little bit too much to remember, I've put the most common ones that you're going to be using on the screen, and you can take a quick screen grab of that and print it out or whatever you want to do with it. And of course you can go into all the options and configure your own shortcut keys as well, but these are the ones that are going to kind of help you through your first couple of nights, and then you can get onto more advanced controls later down the line. Anyway, folks, for now, I think that's enough to get you started on the game. If you would like to see another episode where we start to go into some slightly more advanced things, then do let me know in the comments, because I have no idea who's going to watch this or how useful you're going to find it. But hopefully you know enough to make it through your first night, and as an adult player of Minecraft, you know enough to survive playing with your kids as well, until they instantly kill you, which they will. Now, I briefly mentioned earlier about potentially playing on multiplayer servers, and if you're not aware, I do have a multiplayer server designed for adults to play in a friendly, peaceful environment. It's all geared around building things and being creative, but I do advise that you at least get kind of used to the controls and playing on your own world before joining the multiplayer world, just so you vaguely know what you're doing, because the multiplayer world is in hard survival mode, but you don't need to worry too much about that. It is relatively easy to survive, but yeah, until you know the basics of like killing animals and killing mobs and how to hide and how to sleep, then I would advise you just get used to playing on a single player world first, and then you can join the multiplayer world and yeah, play as a group, make some friends online, build as a group, and over time you can build a world that maybe looks a bit like this. You can build machines, and you can build farms, and you can build all sorts of structures. Literally as much as could possibly enter your imagination you can do on Minecraft, and the challenges that you can face as you're growing your world can be quite considerable. You can play the game in whatever playing style you like. If you're a creative person, you can build stuff. If you enjoy fighting mobs and like killing things, you can play it more in a combat role. If you're more of the nerdy inclination, you can use redstone to build circuits and all sorts of contraptions. The only limit really is your imagination, and that's what's made it such an interesting game for players of all ages. If you've got any questions or comments or anything like that, post them down below. You can also head over to my new Discord server, and there's a Minecraft chat section over on there if you want to chat about stuff. Doesn't matter how stupid the question is, get yourself on there and there will be people who can help you. And as I say, when you're ready to take that step to play as a community, get yourself onto my Gosforth Handyman Minecraft server. There's a link to that in the description as well. For now, folks, be nice to one another, look after each other. We shall see you next time. Tatty bye.